All right, tell me what we're doing.
All right, so in today's episode, we're going to talk about things that we look forward to in our cameras. We're going to discuss a certain camera in itself that we thought was the camera of the year.
Oh, is this the last
This is the
podcast?
holiday special. I mean, who
All
knows
right.
next time we're going to see each other, right?
That's true.
So this is the holiday special. So we're going to talk about the camera of the year.
With no research, by the way. We are
No.
just off the top of
This
our
is
head.
this is our own personal opinion in la cabeza.
Yeah, we have not even talked beforehand. So the products, I think we should talk more products of the year as well.
Okay, if I could think of anything off the top of my head.
I think it'd be fun if we tried to remember things that were released this year. Now, they don't necessarily need to be released this year because it could be something that was kind of released at the end of 2021.
What was released at the end of 2020?
Well, one is our camera of the year, I think was released, wasn't it?
It was officially available the last day of the calendar year last year, but most people didn't get it till right at the end, unless of course you were a YouTuber or you had someone working at the store and give you the old uncle hookup.
You know what I've been seeing a lot of is frustration with this whole supply chain. Like, don't you think it should have ended already?
I think in general, I have always had a full-time frustration with camera creators, phone creators who put a product out, and the minute it's out, a day later it's sold out.
But let's say you were the creator. That's kind of like what Rolex does. They control there isn't enough.
Right, but Rolex is different.
No, I know.
The cost of Rolex, even with their markup, is considerable to make. It's very expensive to make. A $1,000 camera for us probably cost them $400, $500 to create. It's a little different.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if it's not the chip shortage, we'll give you a little bit of a break on that. But it's not like it's a brand new thing. The Fuji cameras always sold out right away.
Yeah.
The Sony cameras sell out right away, and it's not brand new chip issues. This has been going on since 2017, 18, 19.
Yeah.
When I tried to buy a brand new XT3 when it came out, couldn't get my hands on one. When I tried to buy an XT4, I couldn't get my hands on one.
People are saying that they pre-ordered the XT5. That happened to you, didn't it?
That's what happened to me, and I think it was a blessing because I pre-ordered it, and then they told me, like, yeah, we might not get it till December or January. And I'm like, you know what? Keep it.
Look at the, I can't believe the Nikon Z9, same thing.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like, so where in the marketing department, in the research department, are these camera companies that they know everything they do sells out, and they don't put up enough so that people can buy them?
I feel like maybe in our years of surplus, they made what they think like the stock they wanted to sell. Like the A7 III must have been produced like Twinkies, man.
Right. Everyone had an A7 III. People who didn't even realize, they woke up in the morning like, what is that doing
What
in
is
my
that
bed?
on my bedside?
Yes, exactly.
It's camera.
The A7 III for everybody.
Did you hear what was happening with the X100V?
That no one got one except YouTubers?
Do you know why?
No.
So apparently, a few TikTokers did a video or like started making videos about how like this camera shoots like film and it looks like a film camera. But just imagine if you don't know anything about Fujifilm or cameras or digital or anything, and this influencer is like, look at this little camera. It shoots beautiful pictures. And then in TikTok, everything's like they could edit. So it exploded. The X100V you can't find anywhere, and the ones that are new in stock are like almost double the price.
If you buy it used, you're not looking at anything less than $2,000 American.
I know, and I think that's a $1,300 camera, isn't it?
$1,399.99 US.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at it forever. It's another camera that when I try to buy new, no, sir, you cannot get this camera either. And yeah, when you go on the market, anywhere from 18 to 2,200 is what you're seeing.
So, but doesn't that open up like a little window for companies to get these influencers, get cameras in the hands of these influencers?
Isn't that what they do now? Isn't that why they give people the early access to the XT5?
But who are they giving these cameras to?
I see what you're saying.
Channels.
So specifically, like for instance, someone like who has 1 million followers on TikTok, but all he does is fart jokes.
Totally. Or like Mr. Beast.
Right.
Or, well, Mr. Beast is...
No, he's a whole different kind of
He's a different
beast.
thing. But I'm just talking about like the influencers that it made the X100V explode are just people who either do travel or dance, or they're just young and popular. And they picked it up on their own, and it spread like wildfire. And I think it's a perfect opportunity, I think, for Fujifilm to make elite Leica, like their next 100 camera could be, they could make tons of money on it.
Actually, rumor is that it's already sold out.
I pre-ordered the pre-order.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What if like in the future?
That's going to be like a licensing fee to buy a pre-order.
Well, don't you think camera companies need to compete? I think the Rolex model for certain models. Someone wrote in my Spider-Man,
Issue 54 of Omar.
in my comments, they wrote Fujifilm is missing on a huge opportunity to sort of do this whole Rolex thing where, yeah, they sell the budget ones, XS10, yada, yada. You could get that one. But this one is like the gold, the beautiful bling, like platinum ones.
Right, and this will truly work with Fuji because Fuji users are bougie right off the bat.
That rhymes.
Right off the bat, most Fuji users don't buy the camera for what it does. It's the way it looks.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
I'm gonna have a great looking retro style camera. So if anyone could take advantage of that, it is Fuji.
That's a great point because I think if Sony came out with a platinum camera, I think it would
bomb.
bomb.
Right, because it still be flat shaped on top and ugly. So, yeah, Sony's definitely more practical than beautiful.
Yeah, machine-like German kind of.
Yeah. Even though they're from Japan, or China, no, they're Japan.
Japan.
Yeah.
But all the cameras are designed in Japan, but except for Leica, German.
That's another thing. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you understand why you would pay $10,000 for a rangefinder style camera? Do you understand that?
Yeah, and that underperforms. Like everyone glazes over. Like the autofocus is slow, and
the photo quality in any camera today is going to be okay. It's going to be acceptable.
I've seen side by sides with Leica versus whatever, and Leica has like a little bit more oomph, maybe. But not like $10,000.
That's what I'm saying. Like someone said, you should buy the Q2. I'm like, if you want to buy it for me,
I'll play devil's advocate though. Like, why would someone spend? You right now on the table, you have $2,000 worth of phones almost there. You know where someone would be happy with a $300 flip phone or $200. You know what I'm saying? Why would anyone spend?
In my case, right, the technology in these phones is surpassing that of a $200 watch. I mean, phone. But can you say the same thing for the output of a camera?
Point. Damn it, that was a good point.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me come up with a better.
The bottom line is what does the image look like? And I think it's more of the thrill of owning a Leica as opposed to taking a picture.
But in fairness, have you ever held a Leica? Because I haven't.
I have.
I think people pay for the simplicity and the design. It's almost like a race car kind of thing. But why doesn't it perform like one?
Right, exactly. It's like you're not getting your money's worth. You're not. I don't care what you say. It's an experience more than it is a actual production.
Yeah. So
because I was in a restaurant one morning, and a gentleman came and sat down next to me with a Leica around his neck. And I said to him straight up like a little beggar, may I touch it? May I hold it?
Not a conversation usually when I walk up to strangers and say,
sir,
can
may I touch it?
Yeah. Excuse me?
Yes, sir. Aquí, dámelo. And he put it on the counter, on the counter.
Was he like friendly? Like he was like,
yeah. So I was like, hey, how's it going? And I looked at it and I saw the red dot and the L, and I'm like, oh, that's a Leica.
Oh, I'd be taping over that mother, walking around the Bronx.
Yeah. So I picked it. So he let me hold it. I held it. I took a snap with it. It was very like camera.
Yeah.
It was it. It was very camera, nothing else. And I like, you know what? I got to hold one, and I could die now. But I think again, this is one of those things people buy for the experience
and also the recognition. That guy got recognized by you because he had a Leica, and it's like being part of a club.
Right, but that happens to me when I walk around with an XT2 around my neck. Oh,
True.
Look at that camera. It looks like a very old camera. Let me check it out. So again, it's people walk around with Fuji cameras because they want people to ask them about it. It's like I'm wearing a triple fat gold chain around my neck so that people can ask me about it.
Let me ask you if you agree with this. Samuel Streetlife came out with a video, and he's been using the Nikon D850 for street photography, and he had a great video where he explained why the DSLR. He's like starting to use the DSLR almost like a film camera. It's like throwback. And he had an interesting point that if you walk around with a Leica, people do what you said, which is like go up to you and other Leica people are like Leica. But what do you think happens if you walk around with a DSLR?
They don't want to be bothered with you, you old grumpy man.
Yeah. They either ignore you or he had an interesting point where he said like people think you're actually like super pro because think about the layman doesn't know about cameras. That is the camera they know.
Right, big chunky
mother. And so they're like, oh, documentary or news or a like fashion dude. So he said that he actually, when he would ask people to take their photo, they were more willing to because he looked even more pro, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But let me ask you this. If there's a photographer that's young and broke, would you recommend a Nikon D750 used or an A7 III used?
I think, honestly, if he's always going to be broke,
or she,
if they are always going to be broke, right? Then I would point them in a very good old DSLR manner because that way they could buy affordable used glass. They could buy right because but if you plan to move forward into, upgrading your gear consistently, starting off with a mirrorless base in 2022 might be the way to go.
Yeah. Man, that's hard to say though. Isn't
you can still get a good price on a D800 or a.
You would recommend a D800 over A7 III for someone who's going to shoot weddings on the side
and is young and starting? Yes. Do you know why, Omar?
Why?
They have better eyesight. Boom! You could focus lock a lot better when you're young and you have great eyesight. But if you're our age and you're starting,
the mirrorless helped me so much.
Yeah, so
I need reading glasses, and now it's sad to say, but the A7 IV has saved me. I'm on autopilot because I'm like dancing and laughing and back button focusing, pointing.
Right. And you're on wide and you're ready to go, right?
Yeah. If I'm shooting at f4.5, this is during like the key moments, and then the other times I could use the EVF and really focus, but it has saved me. Like I've gotten some really great moments from the camera taking over. I don't have any problems with that.
No, that's my point. So if you're young and starting, DSLR, save that money. And if you do get good enough and you keep moving forward, then you will be able to cross over to the more expensive, newer mirrorless setup. But right now, start off with what we need, and what we need is basic, and a DSLR will give you beyond basic. It'll get you started and looking great.
I will also add to that and say that DSLRs probably have a more vintage look to the files and are easier to edit than some of the used first mirrorless cameras,
Right, because like even the old great DSLRs, their dynamic range on the film is good, but I think mirrorless beats them out because of the technology. So that's what I'm saying. So you can't massage those files.
Old files, you're saying? Yeah.
And I think they don't need that much massaging. Color correction, and then they
my point was that I think they're easier to edit. The old files are not dynamic. If you make mistakes with a 5D Mark II, you're screwed if you blow out the highlights. Yeah. With a A7 III, I would recommend that for a beginner with flash because they could save a lot of photos, which sounds weird to say. Learn your craft, damn it.
Right. No one learns anything in 2023. They get on YouTube and they figure it out. I could build a house from YouTube.
Do you know what I'm trying to learn is LUTs.
What's a LUT, Omar?
A lookup table. That's what I learned.
And why would I use a LUT?
We're actually using one right now, so we have no idea how it looks. I have no idea. I did a couple of tests, like using my daughter and me, and we kind of
because unlike the Fuji system, the LUTs on the Sony does not allow you to throw on a pre 703 rec 703.
Rec 709.
709.
Baby, learn the numbers.
I shorted you 6 points. My apologies.
So your LUT is
it's leaning to the left, sir. So you might want to adjust that.
It's leaning a LUT.
So because unlike Fuji, who allows you to overlay 703.
Oh, you're saying like in camera you could see.
Well, it'll give you a basic.
I think this has it. We just don't have it on. It has an assist for sure.
Oh, okay, so then I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, we don't. That's what I want to learn. Right. I keep using the excuse, I'm just a photographer and I didn't take this video. I actually want to get better at filmmaking because during my travels, I want to make this stuff more filmic. And I've been watching Tarantino movies, and I just saw The Godfather, and those are filmed on film, man.
Right.
And they have a flavor. And the first Superman was on film; you could tell the grain. And man, like everything is so beautiful and clean. I'm starting to like a little bit of. I want to learn how to LUT it up.
Well, listen, that's how you start, right? You start by jumping into it and then, finding out what you did wrong so that you can start doing it better.
This might be totally wrong.
Yeah.
We're supposed to overexpose ourselves.
So if this is in black and white, you understand why right now. We're going to give you a little behind the curtain here.
Yeah, that's my LUT. It's called BW. Sorry, you had a topic about camera things.
Yes.
All right, go.
So if your camera has a great battery, battery, would it make you want to buy it more than a camera with a mediocre battery with the same output?
I don't understand your question. Well, I think the topic was what features are deal breakers?
Deal breakers for you. Okay.
Batteries.
Batteries.
See that segue right there?
That was smooth. This boy's like a porcupine, boy.
It's not like we planned that at all. No, Mo and I came up with the topic is what camera features actually matter to us and which don't.
Right.
Okay, so I've seen people. You asked me about battery. I'm 100% finding that if I want to go out, I want to grab the camera I want to grab the Sony over the Fuji because of the battery life.
Right, exactly. That's what I've been dealing with lately. So I picked up an XT2 again, and I've been taking it everywhere with me, but I have 2 batteries in my pocket every time, and I'm always like thinking about the battery. Where if I had grabbed the Sony, the battery would never cross my mind. I would have bought one battery. It never would have crossed my mind, and I could just focus on what I'm shooting. While I'm using the XT2, though, I'm always looking in my viewfinder to find where the battery bar is.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's not even just carrying batteries, but it's when you come back home and keeping track of all the batteries. And I have look at my whole charging system over there. I have 2 Fuji docks, and then I have a bin where the new ones, like the ones that are full, go in the bin at the bottom. Right. And I know if I'm going to film the family or anything, I just grab the camera, the Sony. Right. To do a little video, I filmed us getting our Christmas tree and stuff. I didn't even worry about the battery, even if it was half.
Right. It doesn't even come into your brain. It does not even register. It could be blinking. And you're like, we're good.
Yeah. So a photographer friend of mine, she's been a Nikon DSLR her whole life, and she just picked up an Z6 II. And I feel kind of bad because I recommended the Z6 II, and she was like, the batteries.
Oh, really?
The batteries are terrible, and the battery life is kind of, compared to the DSLR. She only needs one battery for a whole day.
Right. It's kind of based off that same old battery with a few tweaks, right? So, yeah, I guess you're not...
It eats up the screen
because you're doing the LCD, the rear LCD. So, yeah, it makes sense.
Nikon not as good as Sony as far as battery.
That makes perfect sense. And Sony, king of the battery.
Yeah.
King of the battery. I think Canon's come a long way, and Fuji's with their latest bodies have come a long way. But I still think... that Z battery from Sony is amazing.
Yeah.
Hands down.
All right, so I'm going to turn it completely 180. Size of the camera. How important is that in your purchase decision? And if you're going to do street photography, is size something of the camera that is 100% in your mind? If they're all rowed in a row and you have to grab one.
So to me, size does matter, and ladies will agree with me. I always think that it can't. So to me, as much as you love the XT20,
it's right here, baby. Always next to me.
That camera is too small for me.
Yeah,
I think it's too small for me, even with the grips. So to me, if you got
that annoys you, when you're walking around, you it's the finger and
everything too small is a problem. So to me, the XT2, XT3, those are good cameras to walk around with. The Sony A6600, good meaty beefy grip on it. It's not a pretty camera, but it's good to hold, and it's small.
Yeah.
So I think a certain size I need to have. So it has to be a certain size.
Wow.
It can't be too small.
No Ricoh GR for you. No. That you never did any of those Sony.
I did have all those.
Yes,
I had the RX 100 1, 2, and 3, and I loved them. But that was then. Now in my old age, right? I have a different taste on what I want to be holding when I'm out there doing some shooting. And the same thing comes to play with, the XT4. I enjoyed owning the XT4, but when I decided that it looked the same size as my A7 III,
Yeah,
well,
you're choosing between systems as opposed to
size now,
use.
right?
Yeah,
So to me, yeah. So if I'm going to carry that big of a camera, I might as well take the full frame, in my opinion, back then.
yeah. There has to be a formula though, like what you just said. If you have like for example, it was easy before. I had a DSLR 5D Mark, and this guy, it was like two extremes: work camera, play camera.
Right.
But now the lines are kind of like, they're kind of blurred. Where like you said, my A7 IV was almost the same size as some like the Fujis are now getting bigger and bigger and
Right,
bigger.
right.
So you're choosing in a system as opposed to small camera and.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, yeah, if you get too big, then exactly I go to the system as opposed to the size of the camera.
Yeah, so that's important to me is the size. But I think everyone should, people always ask me, should I get the A7 IV or like a little Fuji? I feel like you maybe should probably get a main camera and then have something small where you could just put in a pocket or something. I mean, it depends on your funds.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's too pocketable, then why don't you just keep carrying your phone? I don't know.
Yeah, the phones are getting better. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Pixel 7 Pro is an amazing
forget
walk
it.
around camera.
Yeah.
So size is definitely it fluctuates for me. It could be a deal breaker or it could be a jump on it type of thing. How is the XT5 compared to the XT3? Is it truly just about the same size?
Yeah, I would say the XT5 is just a little fatter because of the IBIS. But
Gotcha.
height-wise, and it looked totally the same. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell them apart from the other side of the room. And when you held it, it had a little better grip,
Gotcha.
XT5.
Gotcha.
So let's talk about that then. How important let's just talk about large cameras, ergo.
I think the ergonomics are very important. So, for instance, if you notice, the grip on the A7 IV is delicious.
It's better than the
It is
A7 III by
delicious.
a lot. I don't
Oh
need
my-
the thing at the bottom.
The way they put that little finger groove in there,
Yeah.
I think that just the minute I grabbed it, I was like, ooh.
They even tilted the front
Yes.
dial
Yeah.
because they figured out that your hand is like this. Your hand is not forward.
Right.
Your hand is like this, which is very cool. I think ergos. But look, for example, this little camera, I have a grip for it that makes it the size of the XT2.
So then modify your question. Your question is this: at the end of the day, ergo important to you?
Ergo.
So ergonomics.
I know. But like
is it after you've modified it?
with the grip, you mean? Like this
Everything you're going to add to it, or when you first purchase it. I mean, does that make a difference? Because when you're in the store and you first
Yeah,
grab a camera,
yeah.
which
They're
I
not putting
recommend,
grips.
always grab a camera before you buy it.
Yeah.
So if you're picking up a camera in the store, you don't have any modifications, you don't have any grips. So will that turn you off from buying it until you get your stuff in the house?
That's funny you say that. I'm not going to say the brand, but you know what did turn me off was like it being too light. There was a camera that I picked up and I turned the dials. They seemed like they were a little flimsy. And that turned me off. I put it right down, that camera. So not so much the ergo, but how quality the camera feels.
Right.
And remember when you gave me the A7 IV for the first time, what I said?
No, I don't remember what you said.
I had my A7 III here. You gave me the A7 IV. I'm like, oh, it's cheap. And I ended up buying one, but
You said it was lightweight feeling.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're making them lighter. And
Right.
someone mentioned in one of my comments that they think that inside they're just like reducing the weight of everything inside.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, cut costs.
Right. And a little bit less magnesium, a little bit more what is it called?
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower. Little carbon poly, what is it?
Yeah, carbon fiber.
No, the other word. But anyway, they're making more plastic pieces.
Oh, I know what you're saying. The polyurethane.
Yeah, that thing. They just painted leather on there. Lather of leather.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So to me, size, that's one. And then the other one that I'll probably ask you about is screen quality and EVF quality.
Screen quality never mattered to me. I'm an eye shooter, right?
Yeah.
I'm a camera to my eye shooter. Even street photography, I don't care if people are looking at me.
I
put
always
the
know I'm
camera
going to
to-
look at the pictures later. Like I know they're going to be on a screen, and I'm going to really see the raw file. This is the A7 III was the perfect example where the screen was so bad, wrong colors, like 1.9 million dot.
Right.
It wasn't that.
It was like somebody was hand
less.
drawing.
Yeah,
was hand drawing the photo on the back.
And I always knew that was like a little preview. We'll see the picture later. I just wanted to make sure it was exposed well enough. So screen in the back to me was never a deal breaker for any camera. But when you have a good screen,
Yes, it pops out to you.
You're like, whoa.
Yeah, when you have a good refresh speed, when you have a good, 2 million dots.
You didn't
3
know you
million
missed it until you had it.
Yeah, exactly. But that's for the LCD in the back. What about the viewfinder too?
Viewfinder more important. Viewfinder more important. Viewfinder more important.
Yeah, a viewfinder will make me sell you if it's crappy. So
what's the best viewfinder you ever laid eyes on?
You know what? I would have to say the Sony A1.
Same. I think it was the A7R5. They might have put the same. Don't hold me to that, but the viewfinder is like, wow.
Yeah, I was able to at that camera show that over in Unique Photos a couple weeks ago.
One?
I picked up the A1, and I was like, wow. And then also when I hit the shutter and there was no
lag, blackout.
Right, there was no blackout. I forgot that the A9 did that too, and I'm like, that's amazing.
It's just so funny. I was shooting the Z6 II. I was doing jobs with the Z6 II, like really concentrating. After shooting the A7 IV for a month, the last job for the last hour it was going till midnight. This party, I was like, let me try the A6 II again. I felt like I was blindfolded and that I had my hands tied behind my back.
Oh, my goodness.
The blackout, first of all, the delay of a playback to see if your flash is working well is chunk, 1, 2, picture. Chunk, 1, 2, picture. And the other thing is the blackout. Like I was blind. I couldn't see.
The blackout is so long.
Yeah, and in low light, the EVF is like delayed. Like, so people are moving like a second behind.
Yes. So that's another good thing about the A7 IV. It does have a better refresh rate than it used to.
Yeah.
It does look crispier, look more delicious. So I think it's definitely, like going backwards. Like, so when I did 3 events recently that I haven't done events in so long. I did 3 events, and then I went back to using my Fuji, and I'm like, it's a Fuji X-T2. What am I expecting out of it? It's still amazing.
Your pictures were, the X-T2 ones popped to me.
Right.
I was like, whoa, what took this?
Right.
And you kept saying Fuji.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And you cannot sell that camera.
I'm not
Guys,
gonna sell them.
Mo sells all his cameras.
I sell everything, actually.
He's like a flipper. Listen, I need your help, guys. He bought the X-T2, which is like an amazing camera, but I know he's going to sell it. Like, he wants to flip it for an X-T3. X-T2 has something about it. You just got to hold on to it, brother.
I haven't sold it yet. It's lasted about 2 months now, so that's good for it, right?
Let's do a video where we both go out with the X-T2s, man.
Let's do it. Especially because I love my new 23mm f1.4.
Oh, tell me.
It's such a crispy, delicious lens. So when
you don't find 35mm boring.
So let me break this down.
Oh,
for
right.
you, senor.
Let's go, please.
So when Omar first started talking about Fuji and he started his channel, I started following. I started going into it. I'm like, you know what? I have had Fujis before. Let me see what this is all about.
Actually, you might have had one first, maybe.
I had the X100S.
Oh, that's the same I had.
And
remember we went out that time?
Yes.
And we were like, look at these little cameras.
Yes, and I had the iPhone 7 Plus, which was the first portrait photo.
Oh,
and
that's
I remember because we were
playing around with that in that park. Where was that?
That was in Bayonne.
Oh, that was Bayonne.
We were in Bayonne. So I decided that I'm going to get into it again and pick up the interchangeable cameras like Omar's on. And I picked up the X-T2 and
originally.
Right. And then I got
new?
No, it was a used.
It was used.
Yeah,
Have you ever bought a new Fuji?
No, because they won't let me. Put one on sale and let me buy one. Gosh, dang it.
Okay.
So I originally picked up the 16mm f2.8. Right, thinking
I remember that
2.8 is more than enough until Omar and I did some night photography with his 16mm 1.4.
You didn't like the noise,
and my noise was so bad. It was like a sheet of rain falling on my
but
pictures.
The thing is, if you underexpose, that we were doing night photography, and I think the inclination is always to like protect the highlights. Right,
no.
But then when you go save the photo, you're pulling up. That's raising the ISO even double. Yeah,
so it was really garbage photos.
I was like rubbing it in your face.
You did actually, because I watched your video recently where you said those other photos were garbage. So anyway, so I decided to pick up the 16 millimeter
I
1.4.
remember, which you have sold. You bought it twice.
I had bought it twice, and
Oh,
but you know
man.
what? I sold everything when I retired from photography. Right, so I sold all my Sony
Yeah,
stuff. I
yeah.
sold all my Fuji stuff. So I sold it twice because I sold everything, and then I decided I love the way it looks at night. I'm just not a 24 millimeter
Yeah, yeah,
street
yeah.
shooter.
Yes, yes. That's tough.
So that's why I decided this time around with the f1.4 I would get would be the 35 millimeter equivalent.
Why'd you get the new one? Why not? Why don't you get like the older one?
Because I've heard of all the little problems with the autofocus and the speed of it. And I figured I'm already going to be using an old camera, so let me get a better lens to compensate.
Has
for
it
the
been snappier?
Oh, it's just I don't notice it, and
Oh,
that's the
that's cool.
matters. Now I don't know if it's faster. I don't know if it's slower. I don't notice it, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
If you have to
If
stop
you,
and feel that something's not
yeah,
focusing,
for sure.
that's the problem. And that's why I think I still have the XT2 because I don't feel like it's an old camera.
You know what? That's great. You know what? My concern with Fujifilm when I go through the photos is like lens and camera combos aren't all equal. So, for example, when I use certain lenses, they'll pop up on the computer. I'm like, whoa, what took this? And I see it's the 35 f2. And then I'm like, I got to use that more. Then when I look up photos sometimes with the 18 to 55, they look incredible. You know, they look amazing. But then other pictures, sometimes if it's like low light and I'm shooting it at 4 and it's the 18 to 55, doesn't look that great. But I feel that I'm starting to hone in on what combo I want to walk around with. I understand the XT20 sensor so well because it's the one I've used the most that I'm finally picking the right LUT. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I finally know how to dial in what. You know what I was trying to do is I was trying to shoot Fujifilm like everyone shoots it, the vintagey sort of classic neg, classic chrome, like faded look that looks like film. It seems like everyone's doing that, and I was doing that, and I realized like I like vibrant colors.
You sure do.
I wasn't true to myself.
No.
Comic colors,
Right.
bright reds,
You want
orange.
stuff to jump out at you.
Look at my mitzvah party photos. Like they're almost pukey like colors, you know? It's like everything is so bright and I love that National Geographic punchiness. And so I went back to Provia with the colors up and I go, let me shoot Fujifilm the way I want to, you know? I know that was all over the place.
No, it
Sorry.
made perfect sense. It made perfect sense because yesterday I went to the city, and when I was in the city, I ran
That's New York City for you
Yes,
people. That.
there's only one city. I'm sorry if you don't know. You
What
don't
about
know.
Union? What about
Anyway,
Jersey?
Let's keep moving. So anyway, so
about New Jack?
So when I
Oh,
got
sorry.
to the city, I was in Chelsea. What is it, Chelsea area? The Chelsea area, and I found a store from Starbucks. A store called the Starbucks Reserve. Something.
Reserva.
Yeah, and it's like so Starbucks is already bougie and fluffy. They took it to the whole new level. It's like a 14-star restaurant. They got a bar upstairs. They have like 3 different sit around places you can order. They have a bakery on this side. They have the actual machine roasting
Wait,
the
wait,
beans.
wait. So this is the only one that exists?
No,
or is
no,
this a
no,
thing?
no. There's like 4 because one of the people who worked there, he listed off a couple of Seattle, this one over here. So they're around here, but they're very unique.
So how was the coffee, first of all?
I didn't get coffee because I hate
that's-
Starbucks coffee.
But maybe this experience, maybe it's like
No,
freshly
no.
roasted.
No,
slash.
it seemed like normal coffee, you know. So I went with some kind of mocha, which was very good. And I'm not even a mocha fan, but I just didn't want to have their coffee.
Oh,
And
well,
their
I'm gonna
sandwich
have
was
to-
delicious. So I had some kind of ham and prosciutto type of thing with a little pecorino on it. It was
So
delicious.
you went to this place that is focused on roasting and brewing the perfect cup of coffee,
No,
and you had a mocha.
No, I don't think it was focused on roasting and brewing. I think it's focused on providing a unique experience to
So
the
it's, they don't make the beans there and roast them and stuff?
They have a big machine in the back, but no one's focused on that. You know, the people are just sitting around like normal Starbucks in just a much
It's just
classier
fancier. Oh, it's
environment.
classy. Interesting.
And what the point of the story is, I had my XT2 with me, and I had the 18 to 55 with me. And when I was looking at the back of the camera, and even when I got home and looked at my photos, they were popping and they were jumping. And I noticed most of my ISO was at 3200.
Wow.
And at one point, because I was doing video, I hit one of the buttons by mistake. Some of the photos, some of the photos were at actually like ISO
Oh,
12,800,
crap. And they were good?
and I didn't
Wait, the
notice.
JPEGs were good or the RAWs?
Well, I uploaded the RAWs only.
Okay. Oh, okay. Do you
so
shoot raw JPEG?
I normally do on Fuji.
Yeah, you should. You should.
Yeah, on my other cameras, it's always just straight up RAW.
I would recommend, by the way, to do if you're going to shoot higher ISOs, to do noise reduction. Just lower it a little bit.
I did.
Oh, good. Because if
I
not,
did.
sometimes you get weird results.
Yes,
yeah.
because I watched the Omar Gonzalez video setting on your Fuji camera.
But with that said, with the XT5, I was putting noise reduction at 0 so that I would get something usable as a JPEG because the grain was like, crazy at
And that's another thing too. Since you showed me the color profiles in Lightroom, I actually was putting Velvia on my RAWs. So,
Whoa.
and that's what I think it was. That's why I was looking like, wow,
So
I'm
you
really
were liking
enjoying
the pop colors?
I was lucky. I was really liking it, and the photos I was taking, it lent itself to more pop and color.
Are you an ass? Are you an ass?
Ass all day, baby. Gulo. Sorry.
Sorry about that. This is a kid show. I was going to ask you: are you into any of these like extreme edits, which are super cool, but like the orange and teal, the very filmic curve, like desaturated brown?
No. That's it. That's the answer. No.
You don't. You don't over edit or edit like for a style.
No, because the S curve where you could pick up the shade, the
Make a
the
film
shadows.
curve. You mean?
Yeah. I haven't been using that because I wasn't aware of where to put the dot here and where to put that there because
Would
that
you,
wasn't
though?
my style. But since I've learned it, I use it sparingly. It's not.
Okay.
It's not something that.
Well, I guess my question is, are you working on a photo? Like, do you work on a photo, color grading, sort of making it like that's something I want to do more. Where the photo comes in and I'm spending like a long time on the photo, dodging and burning, putting a like
No,
yeah.
I don't do that because to me, I mass produce photos most of the time. When
Yeah,
I'm,
you're
when
almost
I'm
like
editing.
a photojournalistic.
Yeah,
like
just boom,
yeah.
boom. What you see is what I want to put out. I do believe there is a case for that filmic S curve where you get nice little shadows high and everything like that. But to me, it's not my
I know.
normal style.
That's going back to what I was saying. Like I kind of like the punchy sort of National Geographic. I don't want the desaturated. It looks like they urinated on your photo look.
Right.
I kind of want more, but I'm the other extreme. I don't want real life. I want just a little bit. Like the graffiti will be saturated.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you want to see the photos I took at the Starbucks, watch my channel. In a couple of days, I'm going to post something.
That's Mo Morales Photography.
Yeah. If you're not,
We'll link it up below. Our info's linked up below. We should probably wrap this up. We've been
we
talking
probably-
a long time, bro. By the way, thank you. I just want to say thank you real quick to the 4 or 5 people that keep asking about the Moe and O photo show. Part of the problem is that we are super lazy. Let's just put it out there. We don't have a set studio.
Problem number one.
Problem number one. We're in my house. The other thing, we have to actually set up, and it would be great if we had a routine that we're not good at keeping.
Right.
Because we hang out. I love the last time we just had lunch. We're like, we're not going to record.
Right.
And
That's what
that
it is.
lunch was good because we actually have a real friendship. So I think we found that it would be. I personally have been getting lazy with this show has to be produced. So we record for an hour, but I re-listen to the whole thing again. I have to put a lot on this now. And so that now is just it's just a little bit much. But
On top of that, you're a full-time photographer.
yeah, even though my
I have-
season now is ending,
I have
which
a
is good.
full-time job, and it's just hard to schedule our lives together around family, photography, and all the stuff going on. So, but we definitely have a love for this. We definitely enjoy
Yes.
getting together. And that's another thing that back to his point about being friends is like we actually enjoy hanging out more on our own than with you in a way. But we do love you. Don't misunderstand. It's just that we are friends first, and then creators.
Yeah, friends first, creator second. That should be the name of the show. But you know what's funny? Have you listened to our show? I know it sounds kind of weird, in the car or anything.
Yes.
It reads completely different than when I edit it and watch us. Some parts are cringy, this and that. But when I've played it on the car, I think it must be a human trait where we just want to listen to what someone has to say. I'll put on talk radio, like sports radio, and they'll be talking about some obscure football team. I'm just sitting there listening. I have no interest whatsoever, but it's not boring.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just strange to me, like that this medium, like audio, even though we're making a video here, it just kind of works. You know,
It does. I have listened to many of our podcasts on long drives because I prefer us over other people because we're in my mind what we're saying is interesting. Not obviously not
Oh,
for
that's
everybody.
true.
But,
That's true. I mean, we're a little biased because we're like listening to ourselves. We think we're interesting.
And it's also the fact that even when you're watching, there's certain things you might bypass. But when you're listening, you're more focused. Your ears pick up more than when you're actually watching and listening, which is weird.
Do you know I edit the show without looking at it?
You should.
I blindfold myself.
We're ugly as heck, bro.
No, we got a LUT on. Look how good we look, man.
Yes.
All right, let's play it here with no LUT. There we go. And now we're going to put all the different LUTs I just bought from Phantom LUT. Tell us which one's your favorite here. Look at that. Oh, look at us. Tarantino. Like,
See how much work he just made for himself?
yeah, I'm such an idiot. You didn't see any of that, right? That was just nothing. S-log blank.
So if we just jump to this cut right here is because Omar had to cut a small portion out.
Yeah, please buy my LUT. It's called non. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, let's go before
All right,
we go
bye.
on. Be good.